Welcome to part 3, where I'm now going to paint up the casted resin base, and I'm going to hopefully pour some resin, some clear resin for the water effect, so that stream this figure is going to sit in. So I've chosen the Stormtrooper figure. It's a Bandai 1/12. It's from quite a few years ago. I've had it sitting around in my stack for a while, so I've decided to select that and use him. He is going to be just starting to step into the stream, so I've kind of leveled it out, ready for him to do that. And then what I'm going to show you is the techniques to prepare and paint up the base in preparation for pouring the resin. So all my stuff is here, and I'm going to get started. I'll speak to you in a second. Adding in some middle tone and mud colours, so I'm dabbling in really randomly. Just want this to make the effect on the base. Hopefully this will take me, I'm sure it's going to speed up the video for you so you can all watch this. So I'm dabbing in some flesh and kind of deeper muddier colours here. You can see I've dried a little and applying some deeper browns. So I've mixed a couple of the paints together just to give me a thin wash and make sure there's plenty of water in this. I want to,
If you mix it with water, it's applying a lot of it gives you a better effect. It's take time to dry, but it's much more effective. So what I'm going to do now is I'm applying a wash of dark grey. The first colour I am applying, I've watered down quite significantly, about 50-50, and I'm kind of dabbing it on. As you can see, I'm just coating the rocks quite roughly because I want it to settle into the cracks and the detail on the rock. So I don't really mind, but I'm trying obviously to keep it clear of the base a little bit here. Using a tiny amount. Just applying it. Yeah, I'm doing it to the big rock now. And what this is doing is this is laying the base color for the rock. So the black is the shadows, and this will be the initial base color. So obviously I'm using grays, but if you are painting not granite, or you're painting sandstone, you would be using more sandy colors and such like. Pick out these little stones quite quickly. Again, just little tiny touches of paint. Drying quite fast actually, so I'm going to put another coat on this very soon. So I'm dabbing on the next lighter colour, just making these layers up, still using thinned kind of grey wash. As you can see now, the colours are starting to build, and it's already turning into much more of a stone granite colour than it was before. The last thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to work on the little branch there, but I get all the detail on these. So a combination of different brush sizes as well, but as you say, splodging it on and then using it, the brush to further kind of stipple it in. Here I'm adding a lot more white detail, like really light grey white, and then I'm watering it down afterwards. So this is the highlights that I want on. I'll just take some detail off there as well. And I'm doing that because obviously I want these rocks to really show very well against the white stormtrooper, but also, you know, rocks. These would have been bleached, you know, by the side of the stone. Sorry, the riverbank. I'm keeping the detail as much as I can here on the edges and on the definition points. I'm just going to apply very thin white first. Actually, it's pale grey to the branch. Again, it's a wash, so I want that brown, deep mahogany brown to show through as the base colour. Then I'm going to apply some lighter tan colours afterwards. mixed up a little bit of kind of a woody color. I'm just applying that over the mahogany and then this light grey, because again, you know, this fallen branch is starting to kind of bleach in the sun, so I want that to have that effect. Just adding a little bit of color here. So again, you know, rocks aren't uniform. They're a little bit you know, discolored from weathering and stains. So now I'm applying some of the brown color that I had for the base and the broken branch, and I'm just dabbing that on. And then, as you can see, I'm using the other brush to try and you know, kind of brush that down. So it just gives a little bit of a mud mark on the stone. So I'm adding a little bit of dry brushing now, very tiny amount. Just some deep browns here to just pull out some of the texture on that rock, sorry, that broken branch. Right, now last bit is again very, very light color, very small amount of paint on a very dry brush. Take it off with whatever you can use, a piece of cardboard or some paper towel. And I'm just highlighting the rocks, highlighting that branch, and just pulling out the last few detail edges before we get to apply the grass. close up, you can see what it looks like. Now the next stage that I'm going to do is I'm going to put some grass and texture down on the green areas underneath the rocks over here. I've done that now. I finished the painting. You saw that I've completed these rocks. I put some black color down first, as you saw, and then I gradually put lighter and lighter tints of gray. I've dry brushed and put speckles on, and they look like kind of all of the same rocks and pebbles that have fallen into the riverbank. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply just some standard PVA glue to the greener areas here, and then put down a mixture of flock and this is actually dill. So little pieces of dried dill, and that looks like twigs and leaves and things that would have fallen by the riverbank. And I'm going to do that because what you want to do is you want to get a level of realism to it. You can get stamps for little leaves and stuff like that from Green Stuff World and other vendors, but I'm going to leave it quite plain. So bit of PVA glue, and I'm going to dab this around liberally into the areas where I want the green. And then what will happen is I want to keep it off of the rocks if I can. And this will add a little bit of detail. And I'm doing this because I want the figure to stand on the edge of the bank with their feet into the water. And so I want to try and aim for coverage of the grass. And the reason why I've painted underneath first is just in case some of the material doesn't take. I've got green and browns underneath. In fact, I'm going to leave a few areas a little bit bare. There we go, a bit more around here. As I mentioned, this is watered down PVA glue, a mixture of about 50-50. If I can keep it off the rocks. Actually, I'm going to put a tiny bit on there, on this broken twig. So next is just a matter of sprinkling it on. As I say, you need to do it fairly liberally. There we are. Let's try and do it from above there. Get it in all those nooks and crannies. And say it'll all come off afterwards, so I'm not too worried about. Hopefully I made up enough. Bit on the back there. Bit round in there. And the same when that's can't smell it, but that dill smells really nice. So I'm just going to tap off the excess. And then I'm going to leave that to dry, and we'll come back to that shortly.